is going to to RCC back in for another episode of FUT Live today with just Joey, the North American special of FUT Live. No Felix because we're recording this on a Monday and it's like midnight to 1 a.m. his time and he has work in the morning, so we're not going to force him to stay up for that. However, we missed Sunday. Want to make sure we continue to get these out weekly. Something we said last week, we missed a week, so we don't want that to happen again. And there's actually been some, nothing inside of FUT that's changed a lot, but a lot of Twitter / outside of FUT content that's popped up. So today we're here with Joey. So Joey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Had a relaxing weekend. Didn't take weekend league that seriously. Just kind of chilled on it. Stopped that goal too, and was interested in all the stuff that's happening outside of FUT. So happy to get into all of that.
Yeah, I also I stopped at goal 3, but did not have a relaxing weekend. I was getting angry left and right. I don't know what happened. Like the past week, I've just been starting to get really angry at FIFA, and I don't know how to stop it. Like my legs have taken a beating, so I don't break the controller. And I was getting so angry this weekend, so I was taking huge breaks. Like I was just logging off and then playing something else, or like going on COD or Madden or something, and just taking breaks. But I don't know what it was. I messaged you guys Friday night. Saturday. I was playing some of the best FIFA like I'd ever played. And I started off, should have been 7-2. It should have been 8-2, but it was 7-3 because I had a disconnect right as soon as I scored. In like my 5th game or something like that. But even then, like that was like discouraging, but I still kept playing. It was like my 5th game, and I still kept playing. And then lost my first game, literally the first game of the weekend, to some guy that was just really good. So I was like, that game, I'm perfectly fine. I'm very good at losing to people that are better than me, like that better than me. Like Hughes beat me 3-0 at halftime, so I just quit. So I was fine with that. So I was even fine. And then went to Sunday and lost my head. And like even as soon as I log in the game, I just get frustrated. So excited to talk about things that aren't weekend league from now on. But before we do get into it, we are still sponsored by Manscaped. If you didn't hear last episode, Manscaped's here at the Perfect Package 3.0, the ultimate grooming tool for males. I have all of the package here. Last time I only showed you the trimmer. This is everything that comes in the Perfect Package. They were kind enough to send it to us. You have this nice bag. Inside it, like I showed last week, it's the trimmer. Here it is. That Felix asked if there was a head for it, so I grabbed that. It's in this bag. This bag comes with it as well. There's only one head, so it's not adjustable size, but you're trimming down there, so I don't think you really need an adjustable head for length, unless the lady has a preference for length. But and then also the two things that I was most skeptical about them sending, I have right here as well, and it's the Crop Preserver, the anti-chafing ball deodorant, and then the Crop Reviver, which is the ball toner. And I didn't know what the point was. I know that was like kind of the meme on Twitter, was like, why do you need deodorant for your balls? Other than it makes them smell good. But it's like, well, you do wash them, obviously. However, I can promise you this is like aftershave, in a sense, for the balls. So like after you're done trimming, this helps. It feels like it's got like aloe. So when you put like aloe on a sunburn, kind of feels like that. Cooling, anti-chafing, which is always good too, especially. I feel like if you're a male, like everyone male, especially if you've played sports, you've chafed at times. So this is very good for that. It's anti-chafing, and so there actually is a benefit. And it's one of those things I say life-changing. It's not really life-changing, but it's very cool because I just never would have thought of it, and it's been very nice. So if you are thinking about getting it, get it now. I know everyone is struggling to get the PS5 still, even though it's been out for like 2 weeks. You still can't pre-order one. Use all that money that you're spending on PS5, order the Perfect Package 3.0, much cheaper, and if you use the promo code FUTLIVE, you can get 20% off and free shipping as well. As we said, it's actually very good. I've used it a couple times now since we've gotten it. I think I've had it for like now 2 weeks. It's just very nice, very easy. I was very nervous about the electric feature. Took it in the shower, works in the shower, waterproof, and does not scrape. And as we said, your balls will thank you. So Joey, we had a video I shared just because I happened to watch it. It's funny, I haven't been watching all of Spencer FC's videos because he's kind of transitioned from out of FIFA for his videos and into like this IRL content. Obviously he's pushed #United, but that's on a separate channel. So on his channel, it's really been more IRL content and like stuff like that. Like he doesn't really post to it often. However, the video title caught my eye because obviously I go by the moniker Armstrong FC. And probably an ode to him because he was probably my favorite FIFA content creator when I first got into the space in FIFA 13.
When he was the FIFA player.
I literally started getting to it probably the last like year of the FIFA player. I remember like Extreme FIFA versus KSI when they were like getting whipped by Dominatrix. I think that was the KSI episode. And then there was also the episode. I think they were literally playing on go-karts. They had like they were on the paddle boats, and they were attached to like a regular boat, and the TV was on a boat, but it's like him and someone were playing FIFA, and they were on like paddle boats behind the boat trying to keep up while also playing. So yeah, I don't know. That was a tangent because I just remember now.
No. I mean, I think,
old FIFA days.
Yeah. I think his online persona has the evolution of it is remarkable. Like going from that to Spencer FC to being a manager of a football club. Like that's just insane to me. How he was able to evolve like that. Insane.
Yeah. So the video title was "Why I'll Never Make Foot Tune Again." Something like that. It was either the "Why I'll Never Make It" or "Will I Ever Make It" or something like that. So it caught my eye because Will of Foot Tune. It's hard to say. Or "Why I Don't Make FIFA Videos Anymore." He actually changed the title probably to get better clicks there. He changed it since I first watched it. Is one of my favorite series. It was such an original series. Such an idea, especially back then. Like you had to be creative. What was popular? I mean, you know this, Joey. Joey was in the game early. If you didn't know, with FIFA content creation, it was less about the tips and tricks. Like, yes, there was skill montages, skill tutorials. Yes, there was a little bit of trading back then. You were one of them. You were probably one of the few traders back then.
Yeah, I think
at least in the YouTube space.
Yeah, I think I was. Honestly, I can probably on one hand I could count how many traders there were back on FIFA 13. But and I did get some of my videos did get quite a bit of views. The trading videos, I had a few 100,000 on a few of them, but at that time coin buying was a thing, but like hugely.
Yes.
So trading wasn't no one cared about trading because coin buying was not punished, so people would just go buy their coins. Why would they bother trading?
Yeah, so like FIFA 15, obviously no price ranges, and that's kind of when coin buying really got the hammer hit too. So the price ranges came in, and they hammered down on coin buying.
Right.
So if you are newer to the scene, which I know a lot of people are, it's obviously the game's growing every year. There has to be new people to the scene. The content from FIFA 13 to 15 had to be creative, had to be fun. We're talking KSI Road to Division 1. We're talking the early Spencer FC videos, Once a Lion, Forever Blowin'. Where he literally had a pot. He printed out all the cards onto little cardboard pieces, pulled them out of a pot, and that's who he got to put into his team. But they had to fit this. Once a Lion is obviously people who's ever had a national, like an England national cap and stuff like that. So it's a way to make FIFA fun because at the time we didn't have draft, we didn't have FUT champs, we didn't have rivals. All we had was seasons and then one-off tournaments and friendlies. So seasons would obviously get stale because back then it was very easy to get to Division 1, even if you weren't very good. Because their skill rating system wasn't there, you could kind of randomly match up against people a couple divisions higher and lower. And overall, it's just more of a friendly experience. It wasn't as competitive. So he made the series, Wheel of Fortune, stuff like that. It was just super creative. So he made the video today, kind of going over the reasons why he hasn't brought it back, because that was by far his most popular series. I think he did 3 seasons of it. And he wanted to bring it back because everyone wants it, and he had a fun time with it. However, he expressed in the video why he doesn't, which is, FUT isn't geared towards that kind of content. I mean, if you look at YouTube content now in FIFA, you have to be a top 100 trader or player to really bang views, or you have to do like a Road to Glory, and you have to really, 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 really grind the game. The entertainment aspect is out of it to an extent. Obviously, you have Squad Builder Showdown, stuff like that. However, that's not really about the gameplay. That's stuff outside of the gameplay. There's no way. It's very hard to build a series around the gameplay unless you're going like all out try hard mode in that series. So Road to Glories, even Player to Glories now, like a Royce to Glory, is all about how he can build his team around Royce and do well in weekend league. So it's all this competitive, and that's just not there anymore. So I don't know if Joey, any points you had from the video, but that was kind of the takeaway for me is the competitive aspect has not only hurt the casual gamer, it's also hurt the casual YouTube series as well.
Yeah, I 100%. I mean, just before seeing that video last night, I sent a message to you and Felix on Discord, and I said, the game is I want to go into Weekend League playing a certain way where I'm able to be competitive, but I'm not forced into a certain play style. And that's, I think, where EA is missing. They're missing something there. Because at the beginning of the year, I was saying, oh, I think it's not as pay to win, remember? And I was like, you can still use Sterling and that, and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happened there is just people didn't have good teams yet, right? They didn't have Varane and Van Dijk at the back, just sitting around and the AI just doing everything. So at the time, I was like,
the attackers far outweighed the defenders at the beginning of the game.
Exactly. So as 2-3 weeks went by, people are like, oh, they patched the game. They made AI defending way better. I don't think that's it. I think the problem is people just got way better defenders now. And despite the attackers being good, like even if you use CR7, yes, or CR7 Mbappe, Neymar, yes, you have a better chance at beating the deep lines, but you're still stuck just kind of like passing the ball around. Anyway, my point in all this is I went into this weekend league with a team built around some of my favorite players. So I had like Andrea Pirlo, Gennaro Gattuso, Baggio, all those guys. I had those on the team. Pretty much like an icon hybrid of Italian players and players I like now. And I tried different formations and different tactics. And it's not even like people say, oh, if you don't have fun, stop playing, which is exactly what I did. But you can't even give someone, just by switching on certain tactics, a good game anymore. Do you get what I'm saying by that? Like, someone can just change their formation and tactic, and automatically you're at a disadvantage. This is the problem we're at, and I don't know how they're going to fix it. Like, if you come up, if I'm using a 4-3-3 and the other guy's using a 4-2-3-1 sitting deep, I'm automatically at a disadvantage. Automatically. I don't know what they're going to do about that. That needs fixing. It's been like that for
there's essentially 3 to 4 formations that you realistically can use if you're going to play weekend league. And even then, in the 3 to 4, I'm counting the 3-5-2. And honestly, I worded it in the chat today when we were talking, but it was, I didn't put myself at a disadvantage using the 3-5-2 like you do in a 4-3-3 variant. But I'm not putting myself at an advantage because I'm purposely not using the the two metaist formations, the 4-1-2-2 narrow and the 4-2-3-1. Those are just so solid in the midfield and defense that you will never be at a disadvantage no matter what game you go into. Even with unless you're severely out-teamed. If you have a capable team in a 4-2-3-1, you'll never lose. You'll never lose a game big, essentially, unless you play like a pro player. But we're talking extremities. In 28 to 29 of your 30 games, you won't be at a disadvantage.
Right. And I'm talking about even after, let's say, the first 11, 12 games, just as Spencer said. So if anyone's listened to our pod and you haven't watched this video, you can go on YouTube and just Google his YouTube channel, Spencer Owen, or is it Spencer FC?
Spencer FC.
Spencer FC, and you'll see this video. He essentially said he doesn't want to do the things necessary that you have to do in order to win because they're so one-dimensional. It becomes a ping-pong game. You switch on certain tactics, certain formations, and you play that way, and you play for rewards. And much like him, I don't want to play a certain way just to bang out wins. Yes, I did play the 3-5-2, and I just wanted to hit my personal goal of hitting Elite 1, which I did. Once I did that, I no longer have the desire to push through 30 games of just playing that way, just to say I got 27 or 28 anymore. Just because it's not. The gameplay has been designed to fit just a small percentage of players, really. Like, I think they're missing a huge I don't know, mate, correct me if I'm wrong. I just feel like they're missing a huge void of players who want to play and enjoy the gameplay.
Yeah, I don't even know if... I think Felix had brought this point across is... Obviously, there's two sides. We're talking casuals, people that maybe aren't in the Twitter space, aren't listening to this podcast. So it's hard to put your mind into that aspect. But if they're super casual, they're not... Like, a defensive game doesn't necessarily help them either. Like, if the scores are 7-8 or 8-7 versus 2-1, the casual is not going to find a different experience. Obviously, the argument comes in and is that what we said? If you use a 4-2-3-1, it's not even custom tactics with the 4-2-3-1. Obviously, custom tactics help, especially when we get to the higher levels. But for a casual, if the casual just runs a 4-2-3-1 with no custom tactics, that formation is set up to be ultra defensive. They're not going to go get blown out ever, unless they really grind weekend league and play to the higher levels, which the term casual would mean they're not doing that. So they're just playing like 3 to 4 rivals games a week or every couple days, 4 days one night, then take a day off, and then 4 days again a couple days later. they're not going to. The reason the defensive works for them is because they log on for their 4 to 5 games and they never get blown out once. They may not win them all, but they will never get blown out and have such a bad experience they quit the game. However, we have that experience all the time because we're trying to play a different way, and we play higher level people than they do, and we're not getting blown out, but we're realizing we're losing to people worse than us. A casual's not going to pick up on that they can beat the person, and they're not having a good time. So I think that's where it comes in, is they're trying to appease the casual by making sure they never get blown out, or similar to what's happening in other games with Call of Duty has skill-based matchmaking now. That skill-based matchmaking is added so that if you play Call of Duty a couple, 3-4 hours a week, even, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, a couple hours a week for video games, you don't log into a lobby and have some guy who's 6 prestige in your lobby and goes 35-2, and you die and you went like 2-11. Like you didn't go 2 kills, 11 deaths. So they added skill-based matching in COD so that the casual can log on and want to log on again whenever they do, which it is a tactic, and they probably have the numbers that support that. But for us, obviously, even casuals, obviously, I consider myself a casual when it comes to the Twitter sphere, the small extremist of FUT. I'm a casual in that small bubble, but the broader casual, they probably have numbers on it, and it makes sense.
Well, here's what I'm trying to get at. I don't mind the skill-based matchmaking. I don't mind the competitiveness of FUT. Okay, like I don't mind, because when I want to go into a game, I don't want to just smash the other guy either. I don't mind having a mix of games. I think that's why a lot of people like the first 10 to 15 games of Weekend League, because you get a nice mix. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind that in Division 1 you play people from Division 1 through 3 or 2 through 3 or whatever it is. So some games are a little bit sweaty, some games are a little bit relaxed. You can kind of do whatever. I don't mind that. What I do mind is that I cannot play the way I want to play and give the other guy a good game if the other guy's a good player. That's where I'm trying to get at. If I use different players than what people are using in Division 1 or high tier Weekend League gameplay, so obviously your Neymars, your Mbappes, your Cristiano Ronaldos, if I'm not using those players and I'm not using meta formations, I can't give the other guy a good game. Forget about it like me trying to get wins. I'm not even talking about this at that point. I'm not even talking about trying to get Elite 1, Elite 2, Elite 3. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just being able to compete with the other guy across wherever he's playing using different players. I think that becomes the issue. And again, forget about pay to win. This isn't even about that. If you're using players like, again, we'll go back, Lewandowski. You need to be able to use the higher rated players on this game. We've said it so many times, and they should be competent enough to be able to give you a chance if you're better than the other player. I think that's where my frustration lies, is that I can't bring in my favorite players and try to enjoy the game because I just end up like passing the ball around since everyone just plays so defensive, and I can't do anything to combat that. So that's where my gripe is. Like, a lot of people on Twitter were responding to Mike LaBelle, who put out a quick video. He's asking like, where's the middle ground? And to me, I said, if you don't play a meta formation, you're at a disadvantage. If you don't use meta players, you're at a disadvantage. If you don't use meta tactics, you're at a disadvantage. So I have to play a certain way just to be able to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think my comparison to COD was bad because of the fact that FIFA has. So the thing with COD is people want, if you just hit like start game or quick game, you go into a non-skill based matchmaking game mode. But people want a ranked mode because FIFA's shown it. People care about a ranked mode. People care about showing off the fact that they're better than people. People will play that game mode. If you bring a ranked, I think they're afraid that if people don't play the ranked, then all the good players are not playing ranked. They're going into pubs and pub stomping. However, if you give good or even follow FIFA, you don't have to give good rewards. Just give any rewards at all. Mm-hmm. People will play that just to show off and brag, and it's a step ladder to show how good you are, how much you're progressing in the game. There's a way for that. So FIFA does already have that implemented, kind of. They don't really have a casual mode right now. Is I think another big issue, because friendlies even use skill-based matchmaking. So in a sense, FIFA's got it better than COD in the sense that they added a ranked mode, Rivals / Weekend League. However, they don't they added the rivals mode without ever adding a friendly mode because they turned the friendlies mode into a competitive mode. Sort of. I mean, it's still, if you go into friendlies most of the time, my record is much better in friendlies than it is in rivals because it's looser restrictions on the skill-based matchmaking. But I do agree with you, yeah, that and that's what I think maybe COD 2 is. Snipers in COD are obviously harder to use, similar to maybe, but if you like sniping, if you like, the feel of snipers, it's like using your favorite play. It's like using Lewandowski. Slower, not as effective. Time to kill, time to shoot, or whatever, not as effective, but because we're in these skill-based matchmaking high-end rivals modes or weekend league modes, they're just not viable. Obviously, it goes differently because Lewandowski now the player of the month's 93 rated, which puts him at one of the top players outside of icons in the entire game. So,
and the one
I don't know how they get that balance. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna pull it up here. Obviously I'm a Lua fanboy, so obviously I did him, but I'm trying to see, outside of icons, I think he is now the second highest player in the game.
People exactly. He's isn't Ronaldo 93?
Yeah, so Messi's 94. Exactly. Messi has 2 cards, so if you don't count him, Ronaldo is 92. Ronaldo's 92.
Yeah, but
so Messi. So technically, Lua is tied for the highest. Oh no, Messi's got it in form. So he's the second highest card that's not an icon in the game at 93 because he's one higher than Ronaldo and then one less than Messi's in form. Messi obviously also 93.
You'll realize the glaring problems with just how it's better and solution here to broaden your playstyle.
Yeah, I mean that's the golden question. I think it's the question we've been asking since we started this podcast in the end of FIFA 19. Right? I think we started. I think my first episode was on FIFA 19 when I first started this. So I think that's the question we've been asking week in, week out is how do you make it viable without tuning AI to the point where like AI does stuff? Because obviously like the one argument would be like, well, Lou is one of the best number 9s in the world, so or if not the best, so he should make better runs. But then if you make him make such better runs, then is it the AI doing everything and you don't have to do anything and you just have to make that final pass to him, which I do get. Obviously you don't want the AI doing everything, but then you have the AI do everything defensively. So I guess it's could be a good balance there. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know.
I think they're trying with like
I think
it's not working.
Said at the start of the year it felt that if like when you said more players are viable, you said that because it felt like you could use your slower midfielders that were good at passing because passing felt you could actually feel not as much as like, you feel like agility and balance, which are 2 of the most important stats, but like you could feel the difference from a bad passer to a good passer. Mm-hmm. A bad dribbler to a good dribbler, slow to fast. Like you could feel the differences in stats. So it almost felt like they're usable. It turns out, obviously, just because you can feel the difference in passing, the less passing doesn't really matter because, pace and dribbling outrule that at the end of the day. But it does feel like they're working on it and trying to figure it out. And I don't know what the answer is because by all stretches, even looking at the Lua card outside of the pace, he still has, with an engine, and we're talking chem styles, and I know there's been the huge movement to try to get those out of the game, but with an engine, he has 85 agility and 95 balance, which, if you were to use Lua's gold card, you would say he feels like a bus or a donkey or a giraffe or whatever you want to call it. Like, he feels slow on the ball, and by all, accounts of how the game works, 95 balance, 98 dribbling, 85 agility, and then even 85 sprint speed, he should feel towards the upper tier of cards on like dribbling wise. Like those are all very high stats, but he still doesn't. So I don't know if it's do they body types? Is that the issue? So I don't really know. I can't say I have an answer for you, but it is the question that everyone's asking because
I feel the changes
people want to know.
It needs to be on the defensive side, I think, more than the attacking side. I think they have to figure out how they can make defense See, I don't want to say more manual because I think people are confused with like, oh, they need to remove AI. Like if you do that completely, then people are going to complain that their left back or right back are not tracking runs or something like that. You know what I mean? Then it becomes one of those problems. I think they have to figure out like how the way the majority of people play, the most annoying is they just control their two CDMs and never have to control their center back. I think they have to figure out a way where they have to force users to use their center backs, and not only that, but no longer just be able to run into a player to do a tackle. I feel like that it makes it too easy. Like you just hold sprint jockey and you literally run into the player. You no longer really have to tackle. You do in some center backs you use, but the top tier ones like Varane and some other like Joe Gomez even, you can just simply sprint jockey into the player and you'll either knock them off balance or it'll just get the ball. I don't know if that is a cause of some of the concerns that we have or problems we have. I feel like it's a little too easy to defend.
I think that's the case too, because when you think of it, it's not like there's two metas that work attacking wise. It's literally just one. It's pace and dribbling. Those are the two most important stats. The finishing will come. Like as long as you don't have someone that's awful at shooting, they score everything. If they get the shot, it's just how do you get that shot off? And the thing with Lua is his best feature is his shooting, obviously, given the fact that he's a striker, like and a high rated one that's not crazy fast, doesn't have crazy dribbling, decent physicality, but physicality doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Only if they're trying to catch up to you and you can kind of throw them off, but it's very few and far between when you use the physicality or the strength that he has. So there's really only one way to beat the defense is either you get a through ball behind them and your guy is faster to the ball. 99% of your strikers, that'll never be the case because they just don't have the high tier pace. Like the good strikers, I should say, like so your Luas, even like your Lukaku's, which is a higher rated striker, Benzema, all higher rated cards. What? Even Aguero, yeah.
Even Aguero not even viable anymore because he's in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, so you've now eliminated half the really good players. Even your Zlatan, who's having an incredible season, unless he gets a flashback card that has some stupid amount of pace, he will never be viable at a high tier. Luis Suarez,
and I think this is exactly the problem Spencer's talking about. Like he can't go make that series again. It'll be impossible for him to do anything. Because if he's forced to use like a full goalkeeper team, and I'm not saying that should ever be okay to do as well. Like there needs to be a balance between what you can and can't do. And his whole series was about making fun teams. Even Japes' Path to Power, I think he said the same thing. He can't do a Path to Power because of the way Ultimate Team is now built. You just have to use the best players all the time. And the best players now are no longer a list of like 50. It's like a list of 10.
Yeah, and what another thing is the season structure. There is no season structure anymore. There's rivals, and like Spencer said, he on his road to glory this year, he actually is a Division 1 player. So it's not like we're saying like he's not a good player anymore. Like he's aged out or whatever, and he's just not good anymore. He is still good enough to make the series work, which is why he almost brought it back. But like you said, there's one of the things he had in there was a challenge pot. So maybe it wasn't using a team of goalkeepers, but maybe it was just saying you have to use 100% first owned like Serie A squad, and if he doesn't have if he made it to Division 1 with his main team, then gets this challenge of having to use a Serie A squad, even if it's a good one, because the whole point of the series is he packs stuff, he can buy certain things, so he can build a decent Serie A squad, but a decent team doesn't work outside of maybe Division 6 and lower. Even if you're a good player, like a decent team is not effective anymore.
Yeah,
and so that was really the big thing of it too.
Yes, and we know there are people who are so damn good they can do it with any team, any player. Like your Fnatic Harrys of the world, Anders, Tex. There's people like that who exist, right? But it's such a minority. There's only like a handful of people who can honestly go in with a subpar team and just smash it. You're talking about the pros. But normal people who are mid to above level, like myself, Felix, even yourself, like you're able to, if you really want to focus, I'm sure you can get to whatever tier you want in Weekend League. But
if I sat down, I'd be
that's what I'm saying.
Which is fine.
So that's where like the problem lies for me. It's unless you're a freak of nature, you can't do a fun series like that. It's a tricky thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think they're just struggling to find the balance, because I'm not saying that I want even to use even like in your situation, obviously you're using higher up players icons,
Yeah.
but like say I wanted to use like a full like Arsenal squad or whatever, they don't have a ton of special cards, their squad's not that amazing. I'm not saying I should be the game should cater to me and I should be able to go into weekend league with a full Arsenal
Right.
squad
No,
right now.
not at all.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying like if the high rated cards should obviously be good. If they're high rated, they should be good. That's the whole point of the rating system. But also, I'm saying that there should be a mode or a way of being able to use a lower rated squad and still compete at some sort of level if you're good enough. Weekend League maybe is not that Weekend League should be competitive, but this is where they don't find the balance. Is they've catered the game to make it so that it's super defensive, so that Weekend League's super competitive. Basically, almost every game you go into is a close game because it's just so hard to blow someone out this FIFA unless you're really good. So they've catered it so that Weekend League's that, but then that carries over to your other game modes. Rivals obviously is Rivals. It's competitive as well. People are going to try their hardest to win. Friendlies, you've now made skill-based matchmaking and have prizes on the line and can use loan cards. So all of that is now made that super sweaty. I'm doing the Premier League one, so I have 3 more wins I need to get Bellerin unlocked. Some guy built a really crappy Prem team, so you can only have 3 silvers and then the whole team overall has to be 77 overall. So he had 2 silvers in his starting lineup, and he had 3 75 overall golds, and then subbed off 2 of them, one for Mbappe and one for Heung-min Son. So I'm now using a 77 overall team that I built to actually be a 77 overall team that's competitive, and then he subs on loan Mbappe and loan like Son. So, and then that just makes it not fun, because then he's playing 4-2-3-1 and spamming balls up top to those 2. So they've now, because of the way they've structured the game for their competitive mode, it's also hurt their supposedly casual mode. And I've even heard, I don't play draft as much, you guys do. Felix even said like draft is still sweaty as anything.
Yeah.
Because there's rewards on the line. You cannot lose in draft. You cannot lose in draft or you're done your draft. There's like nothing else to do. If you lose, you have to restart.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played much draft this year. I normally do, but I just haven't. Maybe I'm kind of just getting older for Ultimate Team. I don't know, and I'm just taking a more casual approach. I am enjoying a more casual approach. I'll tell you that. After I hit, like I said, 27, I love just hitting goal 2 and chilling, not stressing about, oh, this guy's playing a certain way. I was literally quitting out of games. Like I'm like, all right.
That's what I did. That's why I said I was struggling. Is I wasn't really struggling, but like if the guy was sweating, I just like let him score and then I quit out.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, dude, just you need to win more than I do at this point. Just go ahead. So I would quit out. But
I did troll someone. He was playing like super bad and he scored early, so I tied the game up and then quit.
Oh, fun.
That's I had if you're playing that bad, that was me at my angriest.
Yeah,
so I still got the loss and he doesn't get the
normal
win.
State.
Yeah, so I do feel bad about that one now, but
so do you think enough. Before we move on from this topic, I have something came up as you were talking. Do you think some of the players are just they don't cater to them to make Ultimate Team work from a market standpoint? For example, like if every single high-rated player was really good, do you think they would still have cheap players? For example, let's say Modric, right? 87 Modric. This year, not that good. I don't really see him at all, to be honest with you, and probably not one of the best players to use, I would say. Do you think if someone like him was really good and viable to use, his price would skyrocket, and then all the other subsequent players, same thing, like Kroos, Modric, Thiago from Liverpool?
Mm-hmm. I think of Busquets as one of them. Always.
Busquets, yes, another one.
He's since like FIFA 14, he's been unusable, but he's always been 87 or higher, up to I think 89 at his peak of his regular gold card. I think there's something to that, because I think thinking of Busquets, we know that pack weight's different. Like
right
when Busquets was an 89, I think I'm trying to think of who it was. Someone was an 89 as well. Mbappe might have been an 89 that year, and you obviously didn't pack Mbappe ever,
right?
But you'd get Sergio Busquets 7-8 times if you didn't even open packs like a lot. Obviously, if you spend a lot of money on packs, you probably packed them way more. So it's like, even to the fact of Mendy last year, how often he was 80 rated and you never packed him, because they know what players work and they can manually adjust their pack weight to affect that. So that's, I think you do have a point there, is if every 87 across the board was as viable as the other one, who do you put in the pack then? Like, who becomes the cheapest one with the least amount of links or whatever?
I don't know. Maybe, I guess that's probably one way to go about it. Someone like Koulibaly, for example, can be one of the best center backs, but because of his nationality and league, probably wouldn't be as expensive. I think.
Yeah. So do they edit like? Obviously, they don't have to worry about that now because they have built-in players that are that rating. Like even Harry Kane is unusable. Like, and he's super high rated. Lua, like I see Lua get packed on streams all the time. In comparison for his rating, obviously,
Right.
Obviously, 82s are getting packed higher, but like for their rating, there is people that just get packed way more than others, and they can. We know they can tune the pack weight because of that SBC last year. It was basically like a Sancho generator or whatever. I don't know if you remember that last year. Yeah, so like everyone was getting Sancho because they messed up when they typed in the pack weight, and it basically made every card Sancho. They didn't like that because Sancho was actually decent last year, and they went in and they updated it, and then no one was getting Sancho anymore. So clearly, they can go in and tune individual pack weight on every single card in the game, and therefore, like, which is even disingenuous. And there's a whole like hour and a half podcast, and there's been some good videos made about it that's not right because the pack odds that they have now are like, oh, you have a 3.2% of getting 87 rated or higher, and that is always going to be 87 rated Busquets.
True.
Because within that 3.2%, he's 60% of that 3.2%, or whatever it is. It's because they can fine-tune the pack weight to say that. So it's kind of disingenuous when you really look at it. I don't know if that's why they do the way they do, or if they really just are struggling to find a balance on what's good and what's bad. But, I mean, that's always been the case. Even back to the days that silvers were viable. Silvers were better than, Busquets, probably even back then.
That's true.
So they've never really found that balance, and I don't know what the reasoning. I don't think back then it was for the market because the market really wasn't that big of a thing. You even said that not many people were trading on it because coin buying was a thing.
I just was curious about that, just thinking how the market would react if, range of players to use. I'm just every year, to me, it's getting choice of players to use until like there's team of the season, of course, like months and months down the line.
Yeah, I mean, you're not asking for Silvers to be back. You're asking for high rated cards to play like high rated cards.
Yeah,
and not just instantly like after the full game releases, Busquets instantly becomes fodder.
I think
and like
I think we just have the gen of the engine, the game engine.
From the move on from Frostbite. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we say this. I think we've said this every week now. December 4th, we'll see if anything changes in the game. Which I can't imagine a big gameplay changes like that will change because the engine is still the engine. But
it went from Ignite to Frostbite.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and then they've used Frostbite since then.
Right.
But
yeah, going from Frostbite to Frostbite, so I don't know.
Yeah. Because I don't think they had something. So I don't think there'll be that big of a change in terms of the gameplay. I mean, we've already seen the effects of like the menus and stuff, and for the servers. I even feel like I know a lot of people complain this is like kind of the first real weekend with the next gen. So a lot of people were complaining about next gen in some of the servers and having issues there. But overall, I found the servers to be better. As much as be the hardware inside that's connecting you to the servers better. I direct connect as well.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with the gameplay. So that's the thing. Like, I'm actually happy with the servers this year.
Yeah, I haven't had a single. I mean, I probably occasionally, but overall, I haven't found much input delay. Obviously, you and I have a gigabyte internet with direct connect through Cat 5 or Cat 6, whatever it is, Cat 5. Cable right to there, so we're not playing on Wi-Fi. We're playing, even if we were playing on Wi-Fi, we're still playing with a really good connection, and now we're on the new hardware too, so I think we're in the best situation possible. So I know that's not the case for everyone, but overall it's been improved. And Zway had a funny tweet, so they added the server in Miami last week, and he hit Elite for the first time ever.
Really?
This week. Yeah. I don't know if it's the first time ever or first time on 21, okay. But either way, like... I might find it because he just tweeted about it because they obviously they had just tweeted about the servers.
I mean, Inception literally said this on one of his streams. You can go from an Elite 1 player to a Gold 2 player based on the type of gameplay you get. It's crazy.
Yes. Oh, so it was his first ever Elite, by the way, like ever. In FIFA. And it was the week the server came out.
I'm so surprised.
Not saying that Zway is like gonna get Elite every week now, but I think there is something to what you said because it goes back to what we started off the podcast with, is that people play to not lose instead of to win. And if the games are close, then that's where you start losing. So if the game stays close, if you're tied the entire game and you start getting this bad connection, all of a sudden all it takes is them to get one goal, and then it's impossible to break them down from there on because they got their goal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, like, obviously that's why he said Elite 3 to, like, Gold 2 it's like 5 wins or whatever. Because if they're, even in bad gameplay, like, we've all experienced it, if you're still much better than them, like your first 10 games usually, you're still going to be fine in bad gameplay. It'll be closer than it should be, but you'll still be fine for most of the time. It's just those games that are close that you you lose out on. So it's definitely, especially when the margins are so small, so small. That's where the losses or your wins become losses, when the margins are super close.
Yep.
I think that's enough for the Spencer video. The only other thing he said was you mentioned quickly is he said it's like 50% not old age obviously, but getting older. And then 50% of the game, like, just catering to more competitive scene. That's just not what he's interested in right now. Because, like he said, he's like, if I was 22, maybe the rewards, like those red picks, would be enough to make me sweat through 30 games on my weekend. Now he's about to be a dad. He owns his own football club.
Yeah.
Like, there's just other things he can be doing on the weekend except playing.
Oh,
and I find that the same, like, up until, like, even FIFA 17, I just got my first job, but I lived with just my buddies. My girlfriend was still at school, so we didn't hang out during the week, and I didn't really have any responsibilities after work. So what was playing FIFA, for getting home from work at 5:30 p.m. and playing till like 10 p.m. Like, I had nothing else to do, so I might as well. And that's kind of the same way people look at weekend leagues. Like, I get red picks for playing on the weekend. I wasn't going to do anything else anyway, so might as well.
For me, see, like, I want to break this addiction of hitting a goal for myself. It's such a weird thing to say, but, like, the only reason I wanted to hit Elite 1 is to prove just for myself. I don't care about, like, other people seeing that I got Elite 1. It was just for me to know, oh, I can hit Elite 1. And I have to break that. And it's not even with FIFA. Like, anything I do, I'll always, it's a weird thing, man. I'll always push myself to get that goal, and then I'll break off. It's such a weird addiction to have, whether it's working out, I've always told my wife, thank God I'm not addicted to, like, drugs or alcohol, because I think I'd be super addicted. I'd be really bad. I've got a very addictive mindset, and it's so addictive personality, rather. Like, when it comes to working out and dieting, I'll go all in for like a year straight, and I'll get to where I need to get, and then I'll just start eating like garbage all of a sudden and not working out. Or with anything, with sports, with like basketball, I would literally go and practice like a maniac every day alone. Even though I'm not trying out to be like a professional basketball player, I would go and just practice and not even play for like the high school team or college or anything, but just so I can be at top level when I'm playing pickup games. It's such a weird personality to have. But
no, I think a lot of us share the same personality, because I'm the same way. Is I go through phases of stuff I want to do. When I started streaming, or when I started YouTube videos, I was just doing like a YouTube video every single day. Like when I first started in 17. And then I started streaming more, and I was like, oh my god, I like streaming way more than editing videos. And so I just stopped doing YouTube altogether and was just only streaming like every day. And then, you start doing other stuff, and then you start doing that. Like even the Pokemon card revolution that's happened, just player cards in general. I now own a bunch of Pokemon cards because I just started getting into that. Like, it's addictive, but it's like short burst, like in the sense. Yes, there's goals involved. Like for me, like Squirtle's my favorite Pokemon, so I want to collect one of each, like of the cards that they've ever made for him. So there's goals like short term like that, but yeah, it's just like you start getting on stuff. Obviously, we've talked about we have the YouTube channel for this. I want to start doing other YouTube videos on this channel because I just care about the podcast more than my like own personal channel. So like all I can think about all day is like, what videos would we make like as a podcast with three of us?
Right.
What if we wanted to get into the esports scene, stuff like that? Like we get so like narrowly focused on.
I think that's what
one thing.
Is like when I start dedicating myself to something, I get too deep into it, and obviously for some of the stuff it's good, like working out, eating healthy, that's always good.
I wish I had that one.
Yeah, so like stuff like that, that's good. But sometimes even things like FIFA, yes, I'm older, but I still have that drive in me to just do well. I think once I break that, that's when I'll be like, it's FIFA. I don't care what the game's like. I'll just go in and play whatever it is. And I think I've broken out of it earlier this year, probably because of how bad last year was. And I just slowly starting to realize the direction of where the franchise is going. But yeah, anyways, I think that's enough of the Spencer Owen video. I think everyone should watch it. It's a really, really good video.
Yes.
It's
yes, because it's a lot different hearing it from him too, who's a commentator on the esports, who owns an esports team, basically on EA's payroll for the commentating. So like he has a direct interest in EA and the competitive scene, and still be able to talk kind of not against it, but for changes here and there. That so it's very honest.
Like
it's very, very honest. Like even people that have not said bad things about Spencer, but maybe don't like him as a content creator. I saw were retweeting
I have
and
so
like
much respect
love this
guy because he was like, the only reason I would make the video would be for you guys. Oh, and it'll make me money. Like that's how wrong.
Yeah, talking about his Twitch deal, talking about how he purposely uploads some things to like his main channel, and he wants to do a second channel more for just passion things. But he uploads to his main channel just to keep it moving so it doesn't look dead. Just so if brand deals do come in, they obviously want the main channel because there's more views on the main channel. So he's like very honest about like the money behind it too, and that if that's the main motivation, he doesn't want to do it, but he would if like it came down to it.
For sure.
The other thing that kind of happened today, and I haven't looked too much into it, and there's like mixes between people believing it's like fake, not fake necessarily, but a marketing scheme. But Zlatan came out today. He said, "Who gave FIFA EA Sport permission to use my name and face at FIFA Pro?" Question mark. I'm not aware to be a member of FIFA Pro, and if I am, I was put there without any real knowledge through some weird maneuver.
I actually
for sure
feel like he's serious.
And for sure, I never allowed FIFA.com or FIFA Pro to make money using me. Someone is making profit on my name and face without any agreement all these years. Time to investigate. So you have that. That came out. Gareth Bale retweeted it saying, or he just tweeted saying, at Ibra Official, interesting, what is FIFA Pro? # time to investigate. So those two are, I don't know if anyone else has said anything since then. I was working, so I didn't follow too much. However, that's pretty huge, though, for Zlatan to come out saying it, being one of the faces now this year. That was big. So, like, could it mean, are they going to change the way images rights work? He probably, at the end of the day, he probably just gave up his images within his Milan contract.
Yeah.
And as long as FIFA owns Milan, they can use him.
And
that's probably what it comes down to. So it's kind of probably not that fun of a topic, but it is interesting to consider and talk about, like, what is the long-term effects of that.
Well, I think a lot of people are saying because Beckham got he got a 3-year, £40 million, not even dollars, I think it was in pounds, deal with EA Sports for just being in the game.
Yes. So, yeah, it could be.
That's insane. That made him, I think I read, the 8th. If he were compared to the Premier League players right now, he would be the 8th highest Premier League player, and he's not even playing.
That's funny. Yep. So that probably spurred it. Maybe if Zlatan saw the Beckham deal somehow, and that. But I will say, Bateson tweeted out some funny things. So in FIFA 17, EA Sports did an interview with Zlatan. And it said, alongside David De Gea, you are the best rated player in the Premier League. How does that feel? And Zlatan said, I'm happy for fans that they get to play as me. It also means I'm good in the game, so I'm happy. It's funny. Which is ironic considering the first half of this conversation is that all the question was, is he's the highest rated player, he's the best rated player in the Premier League. And he said, I'm good in the game, which ironically he was not good in the game because he was slow. But, and then he also said, they asked him, do you play much EA Sports FIFA 17 in your own time, and who are the best players in the dressing room? He said, I play with my children, they're big fans of the game. We play as different teams and different players. So clearly he was aware of FIFA using his image rights and was fine with it because they were interviewing him. Then people were tweeting out his player of the month when he was on Manchester United, because FIFA comes to do that, and they're the ones that take the picture. They give him a FIFA card to hold.
Right.
So he literally is accepting the fact that he's in the game with a special card by holding it. So I don't know. That's why I think is this all of a sudden. That's why some people are saying it's a marketing scheme by EA to just drive up conversation. Which I don't know what it would be. I know obviously no bad press or no press is bad press or whatever. But it feels like they wouldn't go out of their way to make negative press about themselves. They do a good enough job with that already.
I don't think they care because what was their revenue in 2020? I'm curious.
EA, it'd be EA Sports.
Didn't the pandemic literally increase their net worth because everyone was just playing games since they had to stay home? I'm pretty sure EA Sports.
Yes. No. Yeah. There's there after the stock crash, like every stock crashed during Corona. But
Right, and then it just rebounded.
I made some. Yeah, I made money off their stock with just the November or the September release, the fall release, and the fall earnings. This is quickly. I just googled it. It says in fiscal year 2020, EA posted net revenue of $5.5 billion.
Man.
And that's coming from obviously EA Sports, FIFA, Battlefield, Apex, The Sims, Madden, Need for Speed, Titanfall, so on.
Yeah, I mean, FIFA 21 it became the most sold video game franchise, sports video game franchise ever within the first week. It broke the record.
Here we go. This is actually an interesting one. In 2018, they made $5.15 billion. In 2019, they made $4.95 billion. And then in 2020, they made 5.53. So they went up, what, 600 million? Is that? They went up basically 0.6 billion. 0.6 billion. Their quarter revenue for September 30th, 2020 was 1.15. So in just the quarter alone, they made 1.15. And September 30th, which, and I know that's just when FIFA comes out.
Right. And I know this is a little bit off topic for a lot of our listeners, but the reason why change is not going to happen when this kind of money is
increases
coming in.
Each year. They're not seeing, like, we talked about that. Even a slow decline wouldn't change what they do. Like if it was just like a quarter of a percentage or like less than a percent decline year over year, they still wouldn't do anything. And we're talking, they're still seeing increases.
Yeah,
by 11% from last year, almost 12%.
Their revenue year by year, but with what, if you feel like maybe they're not doing.
You want to talk about how COVID helped them? Clearly, their net income went up 198% from last year. It was 1.01 billion. So obviously the revenue, we just said those revenue figures. That's just gross revenue. That's, nothing taking out salaries, wages, all the stuff. Net income at the end of the day, last year they made 1.019. This year they're at 3.03. That's at this, and 2019 still has another month, or 2020 still has another month. I don't know what they make in December, Christmas, and so they still get Christmas figures at the end of the day. So that I don't know how much it goes up. I usually watch the stock trend. I'm more worried about, because it's stuff I know. I try to follow stuff I know, and I usually hone in on that like FIFA release in September. I try to get in around July, August, and hold until late September when they do the quarterly call earnings report around the end of September.
Yeah.
So I don't usually pay attention to December, but that goes without saying. They clearly don't care. They don't. They're rolling in the dough. Obviously, they had some big games come out this year, but still, and most of that, to say further, is FIFA. That's their biggest earner. It pays for the NHL franchise. Well, I think Madden pays for itself. I think EA pays, basically FIFA paid for NHL and NBA. They've since canceled NBA, which is probably why their net income is way higher this year.
Yeah.
They didn't make an NBA game this year.
You know what's crazy, though? If you look on Twitter, everyone, because we only play FIFA, so we really only see people complaining about FIFA. But if you look at the Madden community, the 2K community, everyone is complaining that the games they play are just as bad.
Yes. I've been getting into Madden quite a bit with my downtime of FIFA. Like I've been playing FIFA less and playing a lot more Madden, which ironically, why do I put myself through EA games? But I follow a lot of Madden YouTubers, and their complaints are the same thing every year. This Madden was the worst rated video game of all time, I believe.
Yeah,
when it came out.
Yeah.
And that goes with the fact that PES literally made a game that is the same thing it's just a roster update. And somehow Madden got the worst rated game of all time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it becomes a meme. Like, you start getting some low numbers, and it becomes a meme. Everyone starts to go rate it lower, but it's still got the worst rated game of all time. So EA does not care. No. Is really what it comes down to. They don't care about what Zlatan has to say about the image rights because they own all the image rights. Like, the players maybe should do a better job understanding, and It's probably a hard part being a player and understanding stuff like that. Usually you hire people to do that for you.
But then again, so what do they do for Juventus players? Do they have to go personally get contracts with them?
Yeah, I wonder. Or is it through the Serie A, because they still technically have Serie A rights. They don't use dynamic images for Juventus players. I know that.
I thought they do, but they.
Oh, they did this year, didn't they? Doesn't Juventus have?
They do,
because they had the Khedira that just came out.
Quadrado as well.
Does he have a dynamic image?
I think Quadrado does. And I believe they just Photoshop the.
It is a dynamic image.
They Photoshop.
Oh, they Photoshop the uniform out, so it has to be through Serie A.
Yes.
But I guess if you're using a photo too, you'd go through the person who took the photo, not who's in the photo necessarily. Obviously.
Really?
I imagine there's probably something there. I mean, there's probably something to do with the player in the photo as well. But
they've got to have like a. They must have
probably some right that covers the entire league.
Either that, or they went and got individual contracts from those players once they lost the deal to PES, to Konami.
Yeah,
it's the only way I would think.
One thing to note there is that the Inform Zlatan doesn't have a dynamic image. It just is Milan picture. I don't know,
the conspiracy.
But Gareth Bale, I believe, does, because he has a one.
Theory start. He does.
And I'm pretty sure that Once to Watch does have a dynamic image. It does not. So
it doesn't?
Go for it. No. Oh, it does. It does. Because
yeah.
The Fuppin picture was the same for both until you click on the card itself. So yeah, I don't. Maybe clearly they just don't know. But then again, I know a lot of people are saying that it's all a meme and that it can be some pro. And I saw one tweet, I can't remember it now, but it was like, oh, they're gonna come out with a not a spy, but like. I wish I could find it, but it was it was like a spy-themed promo on Friday, because of them looking up their contracts and stuff and trying to make money. It was something like that. But so I don't know if it's all like bogus or whatever.
Probably, I think he's just trolling. It's Zlatan.
Yeah, I mean, it's Zlatan at the end of the day.
Exactly, it's probably trolling. But I just do you think we'll probably end on this? Do you think they're gonna have a Black Friday team this year by any chance?
I don't know. You know what sucks? I don't want to talk about this too much, but the content on Madden is so much better.
I know. I see that. I follow some.
The game. I think the gameplay is actually worse than FIFA. So
yeah, I've heard.
In my opinion, at least. But the content is so good.
I know they have so many players every week almost. Something. I see Problem, who's one of the best Madden players. I'm sure you know who he is.
Yes, I've heard his name because I was just watching. I've never watched him play, but I've heard his name.
I used to watch this
the MCS and stuff.
12 years ago when I used to play Madden competitive. I'm talking about a long time ago when he was on Madden Challenge on ESPN. I don't know if you've heard of that show, but he won that show on ESPN. I used to watch him all the time before Twitch, before anything, and I see the stuff when he posts. They have so many cool promos. I feel
they do have so many good promos. And that's what, the reason I thought of that is because you said Black Friday made me think of Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and there's an amazing. I play Madden Mobile too. Actually, that has a ton of content on it too. And they have some really cool cards that are different things. So they did a Scream promo as well. It's called Most Feared for Halloween.
Okay.
And they had it in categories. So it was kind of like the way FIFA did it. They had cards that were called Scary Pace. So they basically just had faster speed or scary speed. Then they had scary power or scary strength. I think it was all S's. So the player was just the same card, a little bit juiced up, and then also just got a huge strength boost, similar to what they did with Scream a few years ago. The way Scream used to work. And it was just like that. It was cool, but they literally have content nonstop. They could do a lot more because the image rights are easier because one league. All in the United States.
True.
Obviously, that makes it way easier. I do understand that. Legends are way easier to get rights to. They have crazy amount of legends. They have crazy amount of players. It's just probably way easier. I imagine way cheaper to get rights. They probably just buy rights to the NFL and move on. So I do understand that, but the content is a million times better. But it has to be because it makes less money. That's what it comes down to. Is FIFA can put out no content for a week and people still buy FIFA points just to boost up their team because it's the most popular game mode. Madden, it doesn't get the player or it doesn't get the popularity. They have to be more on it for the content, which goes back to the money they make. Is they don't need to improve the game.
Yeah,
because they don't have to because they still make the money.
I kind of do want to see more promos in the sense of more players other than Road to the Final stuff. That's why I've always loved the Halloween promo, because it's just a batch of players improving their stats. I kind of wish
Mm-hmm.
they do the same thing more often, and especially when
Yep.
they tooted about like before the game came out. Remember, they're like specific moments where people would get boosted specific stats. They
Mm-hmm.
still haven't done anything with that.
No, not really. Outside of the rule breakers, and that wasn't even for their moments. That was just boosting specific stats that were different than the normal boost that they usually do.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that they have a really good like from Thanksgiving to Christmas. Just go ham with the promos.
Yeah, and I see some people hating on the promos, and they're saying like EA doesn't know what to do, so they just throw promos at us. Which there's probably some truth to that, but overall, I'm way more for more promos. I'm okay with the 2-week promos. The issue is that the 2 weeks it should be 2 full teams. It shouldn't be, half a team, because they call it team 1, team 2. It's really half of team.
Look, if that's
total.
what it takes for us to get a bigger pool of players, I'm all for it.
Yes. Yeah, overall, at the end of the day, we get a couple extra players, but when they did the Team 1 and Team 2 for the road to the final, and the Team 2 really had, like, 4 players in it, that was kind of bogus, but overall, I'm with you. Give me every single week should have a promo.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm not but we're not traders, so I understand the trading community hates that because the market crashes every single time there's a promo. But I understand that. I get it. But I guess we could leave it there. We said we were going to do a short one. I think we've almost hit an hour. So
yeah.
There's just 2 of us today. Felix should be back next week. I think. I'll be home.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to see parents for Thanksgiving. But
on his weekend league woes.
Yeah. Obviously he doesn't have Thanksgiving, so he will be playing Weekend League. I probably won't be because I will be home all the way through Saturday and Friday. So I won't be playing Weekend League this weekend because it is Thanksgiving here.
Yep.
We won't see a Thanksgiving promo, obviously, because of that, but we will have Black Friday. So we'll have all those deals, the 2-for-1 packs and all that stuff. But yeah, no, if you guys did enjoy it, please smash the like button, subscribe on the podcasting platforms that you listen to. We're also on YouTube. I think this will be episode 3 that goes up on YouTube, so please subscribe there. Goal is to put more content out there, as we said during this episode. But yeah, so smash the subscribe button on there. Without further ado, we'll see you next time.
See ya.